Here we are once again with our book list app. What we're going to do in this video is we are going to add the ability to edit and update books. Last time we created a list and then we deleted. The time before that we did the insert form. So now we're going to do the update. And we're going to do a minor refactoring that I mentioned that we should do last time but didn't actually do. Let's start with that so I don't forget again, and then we will do the update. So the minor refactoring I wanted to do had to do with the book list, and then I'm passing in the results object from Postgres directly into the template. Now this works. From a functional perspective, this is fine. The thing I don't like about it, and I think a lot of people would probably cringe at this. The thing I don't like about this is that we're now sending way more stuff into book list than it actually needs. It would be better for us to essentially keep all of this extraneous database stuff away from the view so that the view just gets what it actually needs. It creates a nice barrier of separation about responsibility. The responsibility of the view is to render books and not care about all of that other data. So let's just separate them, keep them separate, and not pass that in. That means we can't pass in just results. Fortunately, this refactoring is super duper easy. So instead of passing in results, let's just pass in another object. And we can say pass in books. So we'll change the property from rows to books, and then we can say results.rows. And that's actually a super easy way of just changing this, where now it's only getting the books themselves. Now, because I've changed this, the view is totally going to not work because there's no longer a rows. And so if we go look at the list, it is in fact not working. So books and books here. Now we're good. All right, that's it. That's all there was to that refactoring. Sometimes refactorings are rather straightforward. But now let's go ahead and do the edit. So I'm going to kick off the edit from this location, because right now we have a table of books, and it makes sense from here to maybe give them an edit link so they can go somewhere else, and so let's do that. So this should generate an edit link, and there it is. If you look at the bottom left-hand corner, edit/1 and edit/2. So that's fine. Now, because we created a link but not set up anything on the server side, the route doesn't work. So book edit2 is fine, except it doesn't work at all. So let's go ahead and fix that. So if we go back to our server file, we need to have a new route. This time, the route needs to take an ID. So app.get book edit :ID. Now edit routes, you have a get, just like we did with our add, and we have a post, because we're going to post the updates to that post URL. So that's all fine and dandy. The difference is between this and add is on the add we didn't have to go get data, because on the edit we need to pre-populate the form for whatever we're editing, where in add we didn't have to do it. So let's do that. Let's first go get the book, whatever book this is, at this ID. Let's go get that, pre-populate the form, of course create the form because we need to do that, pre-populate it, and then we'll do our post. So, client, once the connect is done, we will then actually run a query and find the record that we want. So what's our SQL? Probably select star from books, where, and this is this where thing that we saw with the delete, where the book ID equals whatever we choose to pass in. And then the params will be the book ID, which will be at request.params.id. And once again, this comes from this. This name is this spelled this way because that's what I said right there. So now I can return client.query, pass in the SQL and the params. And this will hopefully give me back a result set with one row in it, because we are going to be passing in a single ID. So let's go ahead and console log that, see what we get. And we will want to, once we get the results back, we can render the view. And I can call it book edit. It's a reasonable name, I think. And then we need to pass in the data. And so we'll take our queue from what we did with the list and create a new object with a property called book. And then we'll pass in results.rows. First one. Now this right here is just ripe for problems, because what happens if there is no row? What happens if somebody changes on the URL the ID and there's no value? We'll mess around with that in a minute. Right now we're going to work on the happy path and see what happens. So we get the results back. In theory, this will actually work fine. We are going to once again go ahead and create this, though we are going to, in a refactoring session here in the next video or two, going to come in and deal with all of these error situations in a concerted effort. So error. All right, so if we get an error, we'll just redirect them to the books list for now. All right, that means we need a view for book edit.mustache. All right, most of what we have in book edit is applicable to book form. And I'm going to copy and paste all of this, and immediately your alarm should be going off. Eric, copying and pasting is bad. Why are you doing this? Because we have not yet talked about how we can do sharing of templates and whatnot in Mustache. That's coming also within the next couple videos. We're going to have several refactoring and styling sessions so we can get past the ugliness and fix some of the debt that we've built up over these videos. So, if I take all of this as an edit, everything up here, technically works. But we need to pre-populate the title. So this would be the value equals title and value equals authors. There we go. So this will post back to book edit, and we will need to also post back with the book ID. And let's go check and see how this looks when we render this to the browser. Okay, let's view page source. We can see there is no ID here, that's bad, and there is no pre-populated values here, that's bad too. So I probably did something wrong. And now I remember what it is. Here, what I did is I put everything within a property called book. So let's see if we can just do this. And there we go. We have the book ID, the book title, and the book authors. Which means if I refresh this, I should see in this really ugly form the pre-populated data. All right, everything is good so far. What happens if I don't get anything back? Well, let's change this to 4. Well, right now, I don't get an error, but I don't get any data pre-populated. So we should put this on our to-do list of refactorings. What should you do in this kind of case? Maybe we should redirect them back to the list. I mean, if somebody's just changing the URL like this, that kind of makes sense. There should be no situation in the app where they have this possibility. So well, instead of putting it on our to-do list of things to do, let's actually just handle it. And so this is going to happen when rows is of 0 length. And so if we look, we were console logging this stuff. And so let's see, let's find the select here. I'm going to do this by clearing that out, and let's switch this back to 2. Let's go look at the select. Well, this is interesting. I think I know what that is. We'll have to dig into that here in a minute. So rows comes into book ID 2, the Book of Horrible Code by Enrique Sal. So one thing came back. Now if I clear it, and we go to something like 9, which has no data, then we're going to go up here and see that there's nothing in rows, which means that we can use the length of rows, or even the row count property right there, to make a determination of what we should do. So let's do it. If results dot row count equals 0, we're going to redirect to books and then return. So if we go to 2, that works. If we go to 9, then there we go. Now let's figure out that other error. There's definitely something going on with that, and it has to do with my style sheet URL here. All right, let's go back and let's reproduce this. And so here's the error right here. I mean, we see severity error, bad things, invalid input syntax for integer, style.css. So how in the world am I making a request to Postgres and doing it with style.css? This is edit get error. How in the world am I doing that? Well, what's happening is in my template, I have style.css, and so what it's ultimately looking for is this matches a route. It doesn't hit my static files, and it matches a route, and it's trying to look up a book with the ID of style.css, and that's not right. And so I want to avoid that. It's actually really easy to avoid that, and then if all my static files are in that public folder, I can just put a slash, and this error just kind of goes away. So let's see it again. So, hey, look, my styling kicked in again. This is fantastic. So my styling kicked in. If I go to books, edit, now everything's good. Am I still getting that error? Let's refresh. The answer is no. This is the console log from the select to get the single item. See the row count of 1. So now everything there is all fixed up. This means I can get rid of this console log that was displaying the results, because that's just in the way when we look at the console. All right, so we've got the pre-populated data. Let's actually run an update. So the view has us posting back to book edit. So I can say app.post book edit ID, just like before. Except because we're doing an HTTP post, the request will go here and not the other place. And so, similar rigmarole. I need to get my client. And now that I have my client, I can connect. And once I'm done connecting, then I can run a query. But what am I running? What's the query? So the update looks like this. Let's go back over here to our pgadmin and let's try an update outside of our node code. So the update syntax looks like this. Update, and then you put the table name. Next, you say set, and we're going to set the properties that we want to set. So I'm going to set Enrique's title to something else. Set title equals such bad code. And if I wanted to also change the name of it, I could just put a comma there, but I'm not going to. And so I'm going to say update book, set title equals such bad code. And I really need a where here as well, because I don't want to update every single book. I want to only update where the book ID equals to. And so, hey, let me show you a trick here. So we could go up here and comment out that select. You can also just go ahead and grab a particular piece of code and just run it like this. And so you don't actually have to go and comment out things. So that updated one record, and so we now look at it again, and it is such bad code by Enrique Sal. So this is the format that we want to use right here, except we want to be able to update both the title and the authors. So let's start with our SQL. Update books. Set title equal to, here we go. And we also want to set authors equal to that. Different parameter, where book ID equals yet another parameter. So we're going to have to send 3 parameters into this one. One for title, one for authors, one for books, or book ID. So let's create our parameters. The contents of what we're going to be updating with should be in the request body because we're posting the form. We went through how to do this back when we did the add. That should be working exactly the same way. We'll find out shortly. So the first value is the title, so that's a request.body.title. The second parameter is authors, request.body.authors. And then finally, we need to get the ID. The ID is not in the post body. It's in request.params.id. It comes from the path, which is here. These other 2 things come from the request body. So SQL, and then params. When that's done, let's console log the results so we can see them. And res.redirect back to the books. If there's an error, I sure would like to know about it. Okay, this might be complete. Go look at our terminal, let's clear it. Let's refresh. This is my book, not Enrique's. This is book number 1. So let's try to update it. Book of Cool Code, Ultimate Edition. And this is going to be Eric Sowell the first. Better, middle initial. All right. The Book of Cool Code, Ultimate Edition, Eric B. Sowell. Excellent. Edit worked because both fields got updated. So, cool. So what did we do? We did a little bit of refactoring at the very beginning, and then we implemented edit. We created an edit view where we load the data so we can pre-populate it. Then what we did is we then posted that and then actually did an update statement. At this point, we have done the major pieces of CRUD. First, we created the C. Then in the next video, we did a read, which came from the list. And then we did a delete, so we did CRD. And this time we did the U, and so we've now done CRUD. Create, read, update, delete. And this is the core of most server-side applications. So we've done all that. It's fantastic. In the next video, we're going to do a little bit of refactoring. The first thing I want to start refactoring out is I want to refactor some Express, because right now we have entirely too much code in our server.js file. And it's only going to get bigger because we have to add all our stuff for authors and the other pages we're going to create for this. Let's go ahead and stop and go ahead and start creating routers to start organizing our routes. That'll be next time. And then we'll talk about some other refactoring that we're going to do.